about every role that a strength and conditioning coach can play. Okay, stops at University of Cincinnati, University of Notre Dame, University of Tennessee. Again, from student intern, okay, student athlete to student intern, all the way to associate athletic director. So every kind of step in the journey that a coach could take. Heather's next step in the journey is part of our athletics team, where we, again, are incredibly blessed to have her experience and her knowledge as a resource to basically everybody, right? So, first speaker from Hammer Strength, Heather Mason.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lon. He is family. Lon and I what he didn't tell you was we worked together at the University of Notre Dame, and I'll speak about that a little later. But want to put another thank you out to the NSCA headquarters. What an amazing facility and what they have done here. But more than that, amazing people. Fabulous people that are extremely organized, extremely passionate for what they're doing and for everyone in this field. So very much a thank you to them. And next, I'd like to say thank you to the Hammer Strength speakers in 1996. None of them are here today, but 1996, I remember sitting exactly where you were at 22 years old in the Crown Plaza Hotel in Cincinnati, Ohio. They would only have one Hammer Strength clinic a year. And at that time, we're learning with cassettes, VHS tapes, and getting to clinics, right? There's so much more that you see now. So I'm sitting there just like you, pad of paper, ready to go. First speaker up, I'd like to definitely thank Boyd Epley. At that time, he was with Nebraska and now back at Nebraska. Second speaker was Alan Johnson. He's at West Virginia. At that time, made many different stops and now is at East Tennessee State. And then lastly, Mickey Marotti. University of Cincinnati then, and then now at Ohio State. And very, very proud to call him my mentor. But what I remember sitting there, just like you, was not sure exactly what I'm going to hear, didn't know what they were going to present on. But all of a sudden, I became so engaged. They were so passionate for what they did and how they did it. But more so, they were passionate about their athletes. They loved their athletes. They told story after story about not only what they did in the weight room, but what I got out of that was the relationships that you have with your athletes and your coaches, and didn't realize at 22 years old what that would mean for my life 20 years later, and how I have literally circled my career. It started in 1996 at that Hammer Strength Clinic. I knew I was going to be a strength coach. I'll tell you that right there. I walked out. There were 200 people. I was one female, only female in the place. And I tell you, I walked out and I said, this is what I'm doing. So I would like to thank the 1996 Hammer Strength speakers for my career. No question. But Mickey Marotti, great, you follow passion. You get excitable. That's what gets you up in the morning. Strength and conditioning is a very hard and painful profession. But when you're with people that have a great passion for what they do and who they do it with, that's who you want to be around. You want to be around those that inspire you. And I call this, and I took it from Coach Summitt, find your fit. Coach Marotti was my fit and still is my fit. University of Notre Dame, he goes from University of Cincinnati to University of Notre Dame, gives me a call. He says, do you want to be an Irish woman? I said, Mickey, in case you didn't know, I'm already Irish. But yes, so I went up there, and I'll never forget, sitting in Schlotsky's Deli, April 15th, 1998, and he's telling me about the job. He's telling me what sports I'm going to work with, what we're going to do as a team. But he said, you know what? I don't know what the salary is. I said, it's okay. I'm going to take the job. I didn't know. Do you think these days, how many people would actually go for a job and didn't know what the salary was? I don't know how many these days, but I'm going to tell you, I followed passion, I followed inspiration, and no question, I followed loyalty. And today, I would still follow it. Find your fit, and I would tell you that right away. So the title of our presentation today is Change the Game. Right now, you might be sitting in a maybe not a college setting, might be personal training at a gym, might be in high school. Hey, what it might mean to you today is change the game. change the game of where you're at and find your fit. Because I'll tell you, if you're not with passionate people that don't value you and you don't value them to 100% degree, I'll tell you, it's an energy leech, energy sucker from you, and you won't ever reach your best. And I will tell you, very difficult in strength and conditioning to get up every single day and work the hours we do and not be that person that is with the person that values you. So really want to talk to you about finding your fit. I want that to drive you home if you remember one thing. So changing the game might mean that to you. But anything we do as a strength coach, we always want to do everything for our student athletes. It all comes down to the people, the student athlete. So as you think through this presentation, and it's going to be a little bit in a business model. You're going to see it in a strategic radar. I want you to think about changing the game, about how we think about things as a strength and conditioning professional. What do strength and conditioning coaches value? Do they value knowledge? Yes, absolutely. Do they value time spent? Do we have a lot of pride walking into work before 6 o'clock? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We do probably more than most people before 9 a.m. Is that fair? That's fair, absolutely. And are we proud of that? No question. Who flips the light on? I'll never forget going to the University of Notre Dame. Aaron Hillman and I worked together. There was a bagel shop called Studa Bagels. Loved cinnamon raisin bagel with cinnamon raisin cream cheese. They didn't open until 6 a.m. I would try to get there around 5:50 to see if they'd open it early and see me there, right, to get there. But I always knew Aaron Hillman, he would be there at 6 in the morning, and it was always a race to turn on the lights because there was a source of pride. As a strength coach, there's a source of pride on who's going to turn on the lights. When I'd see his car and drive up, and I'm maybe 6:01, we don't have a team until 6:45, but it's who flips on the lights. That's something you take a lot of pride in. That's what strength coaches do. That's a mentality and a thought process. Administrators, we're going to talk a little bit about it. Administrators, that's not necessarily what they value. We're going to talk about that. With that being said, our profession, establishing value of your department. So not only do you have to know the X's and O's, be great in exercise knowledge, kinesiology, biomechanics, administration. You've got to be great in all those facets. And not only that, be a workhorse. You've got to be a workhorse every day. Get up, because I will guarantee you at 5:30 in the morning, you'll have athletes that are not as motivated as you want them to be. So you've got to have the most energy in the room at 5:30 in the morning and 5:30 at night. So that's what we value. But we're going to talk a little bit about administrators and how we potentially need to change the game and put the defense up to the offense for them. But as we go through, we want to make sure that we think everything we do, everything we talk about is for the student athlete. But understanding the current climate is really important with strength and conditioning, especially in the college setting. Like I said, I'm sure that not all of you are college strength coaches, but understanding where we're going as a culture, where we are going as a department, where we are going as a field is extremely important because it does affect everyone. You do see folks that are hired by football strength coaches, but the majority of different divisions, high school strength coaches, might not gain or lose a job because of a sport coach. So I'd like to talk not only about the majority and how to create value within your department today, but I would also like to say to folks that, hey, aspire to be at the highest level. No matter what, find your fit. Don't chase a paycheck. Don't chase a logo. Find your fit. Because no matter what, even if you get to the highest level at the college scene, you're not going to enjoy it. The energy will be leached out of you if you are not with that coach that values you, okay? So creating our plan of attack, understanding offenses and defenses, and I want you to really think of your situation and where you are right now, whether it's an athletic director in high school, could be athletic directors in college, could be different management that you are every day really working towards, and who's giving you your budget and who's really helping you in your career and also retain your staff. We're going to talk about that. We talked about what we call a value as a strength coach, and a lot X's and O's. I mean, I will tell you, when it comes to the nuts and bolts on what's out there, not paper, that's what we care about. Administrators, one major piece with administration, and I sat at that table as an assistant athletic director, budgets. Do you make money for that school? In strength and conditioning, most of the time, unless you seek opportunity, you do not. You take money. You don't recruit at all. You may when they get to campus, but you're not going to their high school, you're not going to their AAU tournament. You are training the folks that the sport coaches bring in. You're not selling tickets. With that being said, I'd like you to think about changing the game and becoming a department that is truly valued. And once again, you got to understand the offense of an administrator. They see dollars and cents. How can we then put dollars and cents into our department and create this value system? First thing first, cohesion. Cohesion. What do you do for your department? Going back, I said the very first thing that I'd like you to remember is athletes. You do everything for the athletes. Don't even go any farther in this presentation. If you do not have the buy-in from your athletes, because it is a business, if you do not have the buy-in from your athletes and your coaches, work on that. If you have that, then let's work into cohesion, not only for your department athletically, but we're talking for our strength staff, assistants. What I'm seeing, I'm so blessed with Hammer Strength to be able to go to a lot of different colleges and see how they do things. What I'm seeing, a lot of coaches, head coaches are in a position 2 or 3 years. So a lot of the 20-somethings, the millennials, aren't have branches of the tree. I told you initially, my very first branch of the tree, Mickey Marotti. Still my mentor, still a branch of his tree. A lot of the 20-somethings, they've already worked for 3, 4 different strength coaches. And how are they going to help you throughout? We want to make sure that it becomes cohesive. So as a head strength coach, I'd like you to think, or a head of a department, I'd like you to think of what type of opportunities are you giving your staff to come to clinics? To get them scholarshiped into clinics, to get them in, I will say, if you're at a university, there are wonderful free seminars through human resources where they can learn business. They may not have a business administration degree, but they can learn business, communication, different certifications they can get through your human resources. And I love free. I'm going to tell you, I love free. And to give someone opportunities from your own school, and you don't even have to walk out the door, is very, very important. I think that's really important. Next, really getting the buy-in from folks that don't have anything to do with strength and conditioning can be your biggest advocates. Those, whether it's an administrative professional day, we had that on campus, and as it's a Hallmark holiday. Wanted to thank everyone that literally is doing a lot of the paperwork for us to be successful. Gave them a water ball with our Lady Vol logo on it, actually, and we create a challenge. Do you like challenges? Yeah, absolutely. Don't you live and die for them with your athletes? No question. Well, I want to create a challenge with administrative assistants. Yes, absolutely. Challenge on how many ounces of water you're going to drink a day. That's what we wanted to do. Wanted to all of a sudden think about one of the leading causes of fatigue is what? Being tired, being fatigued. You're exactly right. I wanted them to start thinking about how can we help you? We're helping these 18 to 22-year-olds in developing their body. How can we help you do a better job? So not only that, just really bringing everybody together, that cohesiveness. Create buy-in. I want to share just one video with you, and I'm going to tell you, I probably will reference Coach Summitt quite a bit. She's family in the fabric of my being, no question, with me really every minute of the day. And I want to share just a very quick clip of what she thought about strength and conditioning and about that buy-in, that cohesiveness.
One of the changes in basketball, strength and conditioning. You never lifted weights when you were playing, did you?
Said,
no, absolutely not. And when I came to Tennessee, that was never even a
That's okay.
thought that entered my mind is that we have.
Seeing her.
Pat, I got to think over the last 30 years of your coaching career, that's probably one of the biggest changes in basketball, strength and conditioning. You never lifted weights when you were playing, did you?
No, absolutely not. And when I came to Tennessee, that was never even a thought that entered my mind is that we have to get in the weight room and get stronger. You know, it was just teaching on the court. but obviously we're far more sophisticated in what we're doing in all aspects, whether it's the nutrition or the weight training, the actual conditioning, and the cardio is so important. But Heather Mason has just done, and she's done an incredible job with this program, and she has a way of challenging and motivating without breaking anyone's spirit. And I think this team and our team, since she...
I'm going to win here at the University of Tennessee, with or without you, but I need your fire. And when someone says that, if you go back to what we talked about first, passion, I'm going for passion. I'm going for inspiration. And when someone says they need you, they value you, what you do and what you bring to the table, I'm going there. And absolutely, that's what led me to the University of Tennessee, was the person, not the program, not the university, but the person. So thank you for showing the video. Even if it doesn't have audio, it makes me smile. Buy-in with your coaches is essential for cohesiveness to value your department. Next, facilities. I learned this one very, very quickly working with Hammer Strength. I learned it from Blair Prince, if he's here, my teammate. Last year, if you remember, Blair, you were at Las Vegas Basketball Symposium talking to a group of coaches. And you said to them, if you remember one thing, in your desk, top drawer, make sure you have a layout of the room you want. Administrators will not give you any time. If there is something on the table and, hey, we're going to build this facility, hey, here's the architect, this is what the architect's going to give you. They're going to give you 2,300 square feet, and this is the equipment you're going to be in. If you are ahead of the game and you already know what you want, what does that say to your administrators? What does that say to your boss? You're forecasting, you're looking, you're visionary for the future, but also creating an environment for the student athlete. And it's extremely important. So facilities, creating value within your department, always have a layout in hand for you, what you want, because you might just get asked off the cuff, hey, how can I help you? A donor, how can I help you? This is how you can help me. This is how you can help the athletes, and have that ready for you. Eastern Kentucky, I had a really fun time working with John Michael Davis, an outstanding strength coach from the Mike Kent tree. And he, just listening to his philosophy on how he moves athletes through groups, numbers, positions, coaching sight lines. What are the coach's education that he's working with and how they position it? What exercises are primary? What percentage of time are they on a platform? What percentage of time are they on auxiliary exercises? Really learning fundamentals of a layout. It's not just the facility. It can make or break your workout. I think that's really important to have a valued department, is being future oriented or forecasting for your department, thinking through what you have. And it doesn't matter if you're a first assistant and you just got to Air Force Academy, right? Absolutely. Air Force Academy, do it at Air Force right there, and learn what they do, and start molding your ideas for not only there, but later on. You'll be in a lot of different interview situations, and to be a young strength coach out there that has already been mindful for that student athlete speaks volumes. That would impress upon me to hire someone like that, absolutely. So once again, doesn't matter if you're ahead, start thinking about those things. Next, community. Not all about just what you do on a daily basis. Your community, what you can give back. And you do see a lot of sports teams giving back. Why not strength and conditioning? You're your own PR program. Once again, you flip on the lights and you turn them off, and a lot of times you're in that weight room or out on a field. Get out into the community, and that's after you've already had the buy-in. Get out in the community. One thing that one of my staffs we had created was giving back to the cancer community, going once a week, working with survivors and also their families. And I'm going to tell you, openly, when you give, what ends up happening? Absolutely. You get back 100-fold. And I will tell you, we probably learn more from that experience on a weekly basis than a lot of the daily routine with our student athletes. I'd say give back. I learned, and I'm going to share a lot of different stories about different universities. I've learned a lot of different things from different universities. Eastern Michigan had an amazing experience this year. They had, as you see up there on that t-shirt, the first annual Women's Strength and Conditioning Experience. And all of the money went and was donated to a cause of Ronnie McKeefery. He donates, or has a foundation that it went into for adoption, which was an amazing, amazing piece. So once again, not just a strength coach, what else can you give? Newsletters are very easy to communicate. Social media opportunities, I think it's important. But there's a fine line. We talked a little bit earlier about chasing a logo, chasing a paycheck. There's a fine line with social media about branding yourself and branding your university. When you're going to get hired, some of the millennials going to get hired, it is wonderful that folks can see you and see what you do and what you're passionate about. But the one thing you want to think of, administrators a lot of times, are you doing your daily job? Because you're branding yourself. So really be careful with that social media. I would just say just a word of caution on that piece of it. Development. Now here's the crux. How many times have you heard this? You know what? You do an amazing job. You've been on my staff for 3 years. I need to keep you. You touch more people than I do. You touch 65 athletes. I touch 15. I need to keep you. I'm going to go to an administrator for him. My administrator says, but you know, right now we're tight on budget, and you don't make money, you know, necessarily for our staff. That point, you can say, hey, if you've been in development, you're making money, no question. I'm giving back money, okay? I need him for our student athletes. That's what's really important. The people, going back to what we talked about, the people, extremely important. Development. I'm going to tell you about Coach Summitt. You think that when you're sitting there, all of a sudden, you're not going to get called on. You think that, hey, I'm just learning right here. So I go to this event with Coach Summitt. She's talking, and she's so captivating. No one else is going to pay attention to anybody that's with her. But all of a sudden, she comes up to me. She said, Heather, why don't you come on up here? I want you to tell them a story. Do we have stories as strength coaches? We have stories. I mean, we have stories. But at this point, you're on the hot seat, and there's over 500 people here, okay? And I don't know them. And what's important to me, what I'm excited about, may not necessarily be excited to the person right there that's sitting there that might be a CEO of a tech company, okay? I'm not thinking all of a sudden, Coach Summitt put me on the hot seat. I'm a part of her team. I got to roll. I got to rise. It's rise up, right? So I come up, and she's like, and she started talking. She's like, Heather, I came into the weight room, and I had never seen this, and that's what the video talked about, strength and conditioning. The intensity at which that you train. You had one of our student athletes in a wall sit, and she had a lot of plates on her. She's sweating. She's like, Heather, I was scared. I was really scared. Looking at athlete, to hear Coach Summitt being scared, now that's something. I'm going to be honest with you. That's something. And all of a sudden, I just started rolling with that story about what we were doing and how that athlete went from lifting 5 pounds to 500 pounds, being super excitable. And then all of a sudden, she says to me, she's like, Heather, you'll give $1,000, won't you? I'm not gonna lie. Do you think I got the same paycheck Coach Summitt? No, I do not. Indeed not. No. So I'm like, but you know what? You're gonna go with Coach Summitt. I sure will give $1,000. And she's like, I'll give $1,000. Who else will give $1,000? All of a sudden, you just started seeing hands just pop up. $35,000 in 3 minutes. I'm going to tell you, maybe you don't have a Coach Summitt out there for you, and maybe you may not have as many opportunities to tell your stories, but that made an impression on me. You believe in what you do. If you believe in what you do, you put money into it, bar none. You put money into it. If you believe in what you do, you show the passion that you have every single day for your student athletes and spread it. Absolutely spread it. She taught me that day. And she also taught me to always be ready when I'm sitting in my seat. And absolutely. So that being said, I'd like to tell you that it is possible. So many folks I see throughout the week, hey, I'd like to do this, but I don't have the money. Hey, guess what? If you've got the time, use your passion. Be excited. Use that creative, especially when you talk to me over there about competition. Use those ideas. And how can you start creating money and be a valuable resource and give money back to your department? Mississippi State, Coach Dietz. If you see anything online with Coach Dietz, amazing. I don't think I've seen better about development. Renovated a whole entire weight room with money he raised. Amazing. GoFundMe. I wasn't sleeping at 3:30 in the morning. All of a sudden, somehow led me to GoFundMe. I saw high schools. There were 5 high schools making thousands of dollars on crowdfunding. Never even thought about it. That was amazing to me. And all of a sudden, you're just seeing people after people just donating. It didn't matter if it was $5, but it was a way. But what's it all for? What is this all for? It's for student athletes. It's for the student athletes. How can you make their experience better as a strength coach, right? Last one, I want to share with you, Red, White, and Boom, around 4th of July, creating all sport, all team competitions. You know, the strong woman, strong man competitions. I'm sure a lot of you run them, real excited. Invite donors. Do you know how exciting it is for them to see the folks that they watch on the basketball court or at swim meets or at track events, all SEC, all Americans, grind it out in tug of war? I'm telling you, there is no question they want to be a part of that. That's the behind the scenes. They don't have access. They can't buy a ticket to that. They want to buy a ticket to that, so open the opportunity up for them, right? No question. Red, White, and Boom, I'd love to share that one with you. A lot of folks have grabbed onto that. Development, once again, a part of that strategic radar, cohesiveness, facilities, development, budget, just like we talked about at the table. I wanted to retain my associate. He trains so many athletes and so well. It had been about 4 years. I walked into my administrators and we're talking about budget meeting, and that's exactly what she had said. Well, hey, Heather, what do you give? Not only just to the student athletes, what do you give? We talked about budgets. Satellite camps, year after year, made thousands of dollars running satellite camps to high schools. You talked about community as well. If you want to give back, Coach Summitt would say this: the smartest coaches are the high school coaches. They wear so many different hats. They get so many different body types. It's amazing. And then they have such a short period of time. They're the ones with the true knowledge. So I really actually think I stole from high school coaches more than I probably gave. But what we did get was an opportunity as staff cohesion, but we also, we were able to raise funds. We were able to raise funds and put thousands of dollars back into our budget with our satellite camps. And NCAA rules, just to give you, if you invite 3 or more high schools, sometimes high schools don't like to share the wealth in their experiences, but if you invite 3 or more high schools, doesn't mean that they'll always come. That is acceptable through the NCAA, just on the side note. As far as community relationships, we did not have a supplement fund with the Lady Vols, and so I want to share this one with you. If you're willing to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning when produce folks get everything ready to go, and they look at expiration dates, you can get a lot of free fruit. I will tell you, over $100 free fruit a week. We get there around 4:30 in the morning. We'd end up with a bushel of about 80, 85 apples, and we'd end up with a bunch of bananas and about 56 oranges. But I know that adds up to $100 because, once again, I'm trying to get my assistant to stay. I mean, I want you to stay. So at that point, we're itemizing exactly what we're putting into. But what else does it do? It gives you supplements for your athletes without taking it out of your budget. But it's an in-kind gift for development. So if there's a produce company or even some large grocery stores, they're absolutely willing, because that also helps them, okay? Perfect. Budget, creating. Last but not least, most importantly, what we want to talk about, the customer. You're like, customer? I'm in coaching. I'm not in business. This is a business, make no mistake. And absolutely, and if you're only interested in the X's and O's, most likely you'll be very valued by the coaches, very valued by the student athletes, but indeed, at the end of the day, they may not have your back or an opportunity to keep you there at that given school. So we want to make sure we're real well-rounded, but make no mistake, the customer is your student athlete. Sell X's and O's. Just in that same conversation where I wanted to retain you, sir, my administrator said, okay, you got it. You got it. You got the raise for your assistant. I got my assistant that opportunity so that he could stay and he could feel very valued. But she said, I don't understand this. So many of the coaches come in, they ask about themselves. They ask about raises for you. You know, yourself, your person. But you didn't ask about you. Let's just pose a question, Heather. If I were to ask you, why should you get a raise? What would you say? What are we? We're coaches, off the cuff, ready to go. Bottom line, I sell physical pain. Hey, you've got folks that sell tickets to wonderful events. You got folks that, hey, they sell to donors this great opportunity to be a part of a program. every single day. I sell physical pain. I sell better than anybody on your department as administrator. We go back to the offense and defense, right? You got to understand what the offense for the administrator is, and then, hey, put the best defense up. Just because you like to run motion off or motion defense, that doesn't mean that you probably should run zone, okay? So at this point, I'm telling her exactly what the buzzwords for her: selling, money, budgets. I'm using those keywords. I told her I sell physical pain, and and all of a sudden she started to see this mental picture. I said, I don't recruit. Coach Summitt recruits. Hey, she may bring in a genetic phenom. She may bring in a genetic trash bag. Either way, I got to train them, right? And I got to figure it out. I sell it. They may get results in 2 months. They may get results in a year. We don't know at that point, but every single day you got to walk in my door, right? You got to get them excited. You got to share them the passion. I sell physical pain. You know what she had me doing? I spoke to about every single donor I felt. And there was, I mean, we'd go from a basketball game and then I'd be speaking to donors. No question. You all of a sudden were intricate in their selling points. And then I got a raise. So who knew, right? Who knew? But I do want to tell you that openly, you do sell. We do have customers. It is a business. And thinking on that idea, that buy-in. Once we've got your athletes, you get the coaches to buy in, administration, you've got the buzz, sharing with your community, everyone's cohesive, you're starting to create an amazing value for your strength and conditioning department. Very hard to not love as another way that administrators can sell their program. Pulling it back, knowing your clientele, knowing your customer. For the last 10 years, I trained female athletes. I was the assistant athletic director for the Lady Vols, and so all female athletes. Knowing exactly what's involved for your program, something that I noticed right away when I went to clinics, because once again, 1996, that was just the start. I started flooding clinic scene. I noticed this. A lot of folks wanted to see what Michigan State was using, so they used their program. University of Wisconsin, hey, DU, they run a great program for hockey. Let's see what they do. And they go and implement it at a high school. Your clientele, your customers, your student athletes are not the same. I think that's important to say, hey, what fits in my situation? How can I use this? Or ask maybe different questions, better questions to that strength coach of why they do what they do. I think that might be the best opportunity. In training female athletes, I'm just going to give you a little snippet of some just certain things I learned going through. Number one, training age. Walking in when it was a female-only weight room, a lot of times in high school, they don't have the experience that some of the boys get. For whatever reason that might be. I think it's gotten a lot better over the 20 years, but I don't necessarily think it's the same right now. So walking in to see intensity, to see how things are, to see how technique, sometimes they didn't see that. So creating that for them, that was a little different than what I had at the University of Notre Dame when you had a combined department. So that was special to our situation. But training female athletes, so if any of you do want to talk about that later on, I sure would love to, indeed. With that, something else I noticed, Q angle. Knee stability, we talk a ton about that, and actually it's wonderful. One of my former athletes, Lacey Brewer, is here, and it just she's from LA now. She finished up, graduated at UCLA. I'm so excited for her. Mad respect, Lacey, mad respect on what you've done and how you've done it. She came here for 3 days just to train. This is the closest west I'm going to be for a little while. Came here, and it gets back to relationships, and we'll finish up with that part of it. But understanding those athletes and the knee stability involved. Lacey's coming off an ACL last year, plays basketball internationally, and getting her ready. Now it's a profession. Got to get the knee right. I noticed that with female athletes, it's a concern. Okay, it is a concern. It's something to absolutely pay attention to, but it's not the end-all, be-all. If any of you want to talk about that, we will. Yeah, we can do some exercises, and maybe Lacey would allow us to use her as a demo. So reducing that risk of injury. I think that was important for my clientele, so knowing your clientele. Next, absolutely, increasing self-confidence. I told you about that training age. Hey, but there was also some feelings about their body type, myths about, hey, how is my body going to change? Negatively, there was a little bit more of a negative stigma. You know what, I'm going to share a video. Let's share that. I'm going to share a video about what we used and how we did it. One, competition and using implements. You're not going to hear the music I'm guessing probably not since the same. Probably not going to hear the music, but as you go through, just want you to look. One, unity. You're going to see iron will. There's Lacey there. You're going to see tire. You'll end up seeing orange flag. Different thoughts, different mentality, hard work, doing it together, always together, not apart, with a lot of different settings. And consistently having the same mindset together. But with athletes, especially my clientele, I needed to get it right for them. And just looking at this and watching it, I'll go into my very last point, relationships. I'm looking at Sid Smallbone right there. She just won first year at St. Joe's High School in South Bend, Indiana, won a state championship. Proud of her. Talked to you about Lacey. Saw Bree Bass. She's an assistant coach for Indiana University. Glory Johnson is playing over in China. Those relationships, that's what matter. It comes down to character integrity. Everything that you do for your athlete. Everything you do with character and integrity, and never jeopardize that. Always finding your fit. Always finding your fit. If any of you would like to talk about any facets of that, whether it's strategic radar, whether it's training female athletes, did train football at University of Notre Dame in Cincinnati, so that was not that I didn't train male, just the last 10 years female. This is my contact. I'll be here all weekend. Love to talk strength and conditioning because it is my passion, and that's what I know. Thank you very much for your time, and thanks for coming here this weekend and supporting the NSCA and also the field of strength and conditioning. Appreciate it.